I'm Jen Verrill. Today we're here at Verrill Farm in Concord, Mass. One of our signature items in our bakery here at the farm is a fresh fruit pie that we make in our bakery with all butter from scratch. So today I'm going to show you how to make one of those pies. First thing we're going to do is make the crust. This crust is very versatile. You can use it for the double crust, for the lattice top, and for the base crust of the pie. So first we're going to put 8 ounces of chilled cubed up butter into the Cuisinart. Then add 2 1/4 cups of flour, a half a teaspoon of salt, and a 1/4 cup of sugar. And then we're going to put the cover on and just pulse it. You don't want to pulse it too much. You should have small chunks of butter when you're finished. And when you get the little pieces of butter, it's time to add the water. I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of ice cold water. Just add it right through the feed tube. And again, just pulse it again until it just starts to come together. Don't want to over mix it at this point. That looks good. And then just put a tiny bit of flour down on your work surface. Just dump everything out on the table. Scrape the bowl. And then this looks like it's never going to come into a log, but it will. Just kind of press it together. You don't want to knead it, but just kind of firmly press it, and so it forms a log. Just like that. And then we're going to wrap this and chill it. Okay, so now we're going to chill the dough that we just made. Just wrap it in plastic, and I recommend chilling it at least 2 hours. Or at this point, you can double wrap it and freeze it for later use, which is really nice to have around the holidays too. So now I'm going to get the dough that we made earlier. So we're going to put a little flour on the surface. And making pie dough is just like anything else. Once you get a little confidence, it's really simple to do. This dough has butter. It's all butter. So I think it's really easy to work with. A little bit easier than if you're using shortening. So you're just going to make a disc. Press it down into a disc. And keep turning it and making sure it's not sticking. So once you have a disc about that large, get your rolling pin and just start rolling it out from the center out. Don't worry if you get a little crack. But I'm going to keep moving it so it's not sticking. If it gets a little sticky on top, you can add a tiny bit of flour. A little bit more on top. And try to keep a circle because that makes it a lot easier when you're putting it in the pan. That's another reason why you want to keep turning it. It's easier to keep the circle. Check that you don't have any dough sticking on your rolling pin. And then if you want to check to see if it's big enough, you can just hold your pan over it like this. It's just about right. And then you can also feel if it feels really thick in some parts, just roll it a little bit more. Okay, so that's about right. So at this point, fold it in half, and then you can slide your pan right over, and then just unfold it into the pan. And if you're going to make a single crust pie, you want to take the overhang and just fold it in half so it's resting right on the top of your pie plate. Just like that, go all the way around. And then depending on what type of finish you like on it, you can use a fork, the tines of a fork. You can use your finger. You can use a spoon. And as I'm doing this, I'm pressing down into the corner of the pan. You don't want to pull the dough. So it has to be really pressed down into the corner. Okay, so it's all sitting on the top of my pan. And then at this point you need to do your decorative edge, whatever you want to do. I just take my finger and press it between my thumb and forefinger and go all the way around. And if it's getting a little bit warm and sticky, just flour your fingers a little bit. Go all the way around. And then you can chill this while you get your filling ready. Okay, so now we're going to make the crumb topping for our pie. If you like the crumble topping, it's flour, half a cup of granulated sugar, and half a cup of brown sugar, and it was 2 cups of flour. A lot of people really like this type of pie. If you like your pies a little less sweet, then you can use the lattice top or the double crust pie. So I put the flour and the brown sugar and granulated, and then just add a half a pound or 8 ounces of cut up chilled butter. And we're going to pulse it the same way we did for the pie crust. And that's it. It's very simple. And this will keep in your freezer. You can use what you need and just keep the rest for the next time. It's nice to have on hand. And that's it. It's done. So you can see there's some small pieces of butter in there, and that's how you want it. You don't want to over mix it. If it starts clumping together, it's mixed too much. So that's the crumb topping. And now we're going to make the plum strawberry pie. I'm going to put 4.5 cups of plums into a bowl. Add 1.5 cups of strawberries. Half a cup of sugar. And 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. And that's it. So my general rule for making stone fruit pies and even berry pies is about 1/2 cup of sugar. It depends on your plums. If the plums are really tart, you might want to add a heaping 1/2 cup or 3/4 cup. But generally, 1/2 is kind of a good rule for most kind of summer pies. And then we're just going to toss that around the same way we did. And if your fruit is really ripe and flavorful and good, I don't feel you need a lot of extra spices in there. If you really love cinnamon, you can add a little bit of cinnamon to this if you want to. So we're going to take the single crust pie shell. Just turn it out into the pie pan. And the plums can kind of tend to stick up a little bit. Try to make them pretty flat, because when you put your crumb topping on, you don't want little pieces sticking up through the crust. So it looks good. And let's see. I put about 2 cups of crumb topping onto a pie this size, and this is a 9-inch Pyrex pan. And some people may be tempted to put less on because they don't like it so sweet, but I think if you don't like it that sweet, you should do the double crust, because you really need to cover the fruit with this. It's okay if you have fruit on the outside, but on the top it really needs to be covered, because if you don't, the juice are gonna bleed through, and it doesn't look so appealing when it comes out. You can put a little bit more. And that's it. And then we're gonna go ahead and put this in the oven. And again, 325 in a convection oven or 375 in your home oven for about an hour. And here it is out of the oven. This is the plum strawberry pie. And you can see there's a nice golden brown topping, and the juices started to come out and get nice and thick. And I think it's just a really nice, homey looking pie. Looks good enough to eat.